Brittany Deigh. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, and welcome back for what will actually be the last episode, for now, of the Addicted Household Recovery. So I actually want to talk about overgiving, and it's a great close because that is my truth. And, it's so interesting because I knew this was coming. I could feel the overgiver the reason why I want to talk about this is because it's a huge part of codependency is overgiving, and then you become resentful. If you're giving with expectation, then that's really, you're in the red zone. But even if you're not giving with any expectation, which is what I actually felt like I did with this round of my podcasting, if you are giving too much and you're not receiving enough to feel good about the exchange, then you're overgiving. And whenever I first started this podcast, well, actually, let's reverse a little bit to my very first time doing my podcast. I said I was going to do it for a year, and it was like I launched this podcast and and all this stuff, and I poured so much in. I mean, I poured a lot into this series as well. Like, it costs hundreds of dollars to do this every month, and just my time and my energy and my wisdom and my expertise and all those things. But the first time that I did my podcast, oh my God, I poured so much into that. And I had all these expectations of what it was going to do for me and my business. And it was going to get shared and all these people and like all these things, so many expectations. And then I had about 2 months left until it was a year of episodes, which was a goal that I had set for myself. And I was so resentful. Like, finishing, I wish now looking back, I'm like, Brittany, why did you have to had to hit the 365-day mark. That was an old mentality, but the last 2 months, I was on the road traveling. It was like I couldn't find a good space to record. I mean, it was just like I felt like I was going upstream so much, like fighting against the universe to get to my 365-day mark for those last 2 months, that the podcast took so much from me. It was unreal. So this time I knew what I was in for. I knew that there was going to be a point where this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I'm getting what I'm receiving, or maybe it would just totally freaking take off and then I would be getting what I feel like I'm putting in. But, I felt it approaching. I was like, "Oh, there's that feeling again," right? Because I already know it. It's familiar. And I'm like, "Oh, there's that feeling again. I feel it coming in." And then I was like, "Okay, I think we have a little bit more time. So let's touch on the things that we really want to make sure to talk about." But I do feel like it's time to bring it to a close because that resentment is starting to come in. I put so much into all those thoughts. I've put so much into this, and nobody donates, nobody. I mean, sometimes I get messages, this and that, or certain things, but like feedback, really affirming your work. But really, ultimately, this was for me. This round was for me. This was because I desired deeply to give my inner child, to give my parts of me that never got a voice. Like, that's what this was for me. And now that I've moved through that and past that, and now it's just like, okay, now I'm just giving a bunch of information and knowledge and wisdom away for free, just handing it away, which is fine, but I think that sometimes those things aren't sustainable if you're not getting what you're no, I'm not even going to say, I'm going to say it like it is. That's not sustainable. And it's actually really interesting because I was being mirrored this in my reality. I actually just met with someone recently who has a local business here, and they were talking about how they have been trying to do everything donation based, and they're forking out $2,500 a month just on rent, not even talking about turning on the lights, not even talking about putting the heat on, not even talking about anything else, just rent. And like they're like, I can't even afford this. I can't even afford to do this. And I'm breaking. It's like draining me, And it it's so beautiful to be able to own that, right? Like, even for me to come out here and say, "Hey, I recognize that I'm now overgiving." Like, I was receiving so much whenever my little girl was having this platform and this voice and, a place to speak and share. But now that she no longer needs that, now we feel really grounded in our security and our safety and in my voice, and I share what I want wherever I want. I don't have to do it just behind this mic anymore. It it gave me a space. It gave me a space to start that energy. But now I just speak my truth in my life, and I share my stories, and I have what I have to say. And like, I don't there's no there's I don't need to hide behind anything anymore. And so, you know, it's really actually manipulative and would be of such disservice if I continued on knowing that I'm overgiving, right? Just like this business owner that I just met with, who was a beautiful divine mirror for me. I didn't even share them anything about the podcast. I just listening to their story and was like, wow, this is like such a big mirror for me right now. You know, because then you end up getting resentful towards the thing. You get up and end up resentful towards the business. You get up resentful towards all of the things that you've poured into this. And you're like, why is this not giving back to me? And you feel wronged and you feel like betrayed. And it's so challenging, and it really fucks with that root chakra, that like deep safety. And the only way to change, if you're resonating with this and you're like, damn, I'm an overgiver. I can see, her thing is the podcast, or this person's thing is their business, but I see that I've been doing this here. The only way to change that is to readjust, is to adjust the boundaries of just, speaking your truth, being honest. Like, I'm being honest here. They have come forward and they're being honest with themselves and their community, and asking for help in different things. That's what changes the trajectory. That's what makes the difference, is that you accept, own, and surrender to what the truth is, instead of keep looking away and saying, this is not, I'm not getting out of this what I keep pouring into this. And it's really hard. I know that's easier like in a podcast or a business, but like whenever it's a best friend, yikes, it hurts. And if you're not heard by that person, if they're like, what are you talking about? This is what our relationship has always been. You're not giving too much. I give this, 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 and this to you. If someone doesn't want to hear your true feelings, and here's the thing, this is the tricky thing about trauma, right? Is that may just be your trauma speaking. And it may really be a reciprocal relationship. And then they bring forward like, hey, I bring forward this, 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 and this. Do you not value these things anymore like you used to? Those things can be negotiated at any point in time. And if the person that you feel like you're overgiving to is not down to hear you and to negotiate the reciprocal relationship, then I think that's an answer in itself. You always can stop and say, we need to renegotiate this. It doesn't matter what relationship you're in. It doesn't matter if you signed a contract. That is part of being sovereign, being able to govern yourself. Now, I'm not saying if you, let's say the 365 days was a contract, right? I was treating it like I had signed some contract with somebody that I had a podcast for 365 days. But now, and this is an imaginary person, right? But let's say I went to that person, it's an aspect of self, and said, "Hey, I know that I signed a contract for 365 days, but this is just I'm wearing down. This is draining me." And I don't even feel this way about the podcast right now, just so you guys know. I'm not letting it get there because I know the overgiver. I see her. She's creeping in. And so I go to them and I say, I want to negotiate this. They may be able to meet your need somewhere. Instead of putting out an episode every week, maybe it would be every other week, just so that way we can finish out the contract. Or maybe we have someone come in and be featured and you just kind of hold space on the call so that way it takes a little bit less from you. Someone that really cares about you and loves you is not going, they're going to see that this is draining you, and let's get creative to teamwork this and come up with a new adjustment. If someone sees that this is draining you and they hold you to that 365 days, I would assess what that relationship is and also maybe how your karma could be tied. Because sometimes we create these relationships and these things with ourselves for our own journey. So just it's very tricky. It's very tricky. But over giving to the detriment of self, giving to the point where we become resentful an expression of codependence. We're trying to win the love, the admiration, the respect of people, where if you just completely took that out and away, would they still love, respect, and appreciate you all the same? And so that's kind of my question and my answer and my offering to you. Also, we overgive in the sense of enabling, which I think I'm doing a little bit here, is where you have the ability to get the support, right, for what I'm giving you. And I fully believe that, whether that's with me, if you want to do a mentorship container, or if you want to, which I do have spots available for a mentorship container right now, whether that's with me, whether it's in a group program or one of my self-taught courses, one of those types of things, or with somebody else, I fully believe that you have the ability to get this information in a way that is empowering to you, in a way that's not being carried on my back, but we're both carrying the load. And I just want to be clear, I don't even feel like that has truly happened yet. Like I said, I can feel it coming. And if I would continue on for months and months and I just continued to carry all the load and you just continued to take and take and take and take, that is what that and I'm not saying this from a resentful place. I'm sure you guys can feel that in my energy because I'm not letting myself get there. But I'm just saying so that way you can put yourself as an overgiver. I'm sure that if you're listening to this episode, you know what it means to be an overgiver. As an overgiver, instead of you carrying all the load, allowing them to hold and carry some of the load. And that is in believing that they can. I do believe that you can get the support. I do believe that you can heal your codependency. I do believe that you can do what you need to do in order to move through growing up and living in an addicted household. And of course, resources like this can be helpful, but not to the detriment of that person, right? That's all I'm saying. And you got to watch that because that's a huge part of codependency, of addiction, is carrying the load of, like, sometimes it's like 5 people, 3 or 4 people, right? Especially in family dynamics, on one person. One person is carrying the load of 4 or 5 people. And it's just not it doesn't create healthy dynamics. We wanna live the goal with codependency, addiction, recovery is living in your purest state of being your truest, most authentic self, being honest, radically, radically honest and responsible for your own experience and expression, and not worrying about anyone else's experience or expression, allowing them to harmonize as they do, and not trying to control when they harmonize and when they don't harmonize. And so in the beginning, right, this really harmonized because this I was getting so much out of just showing up behind this mic. But now that's no longer what I'm experiencing. So if I was getting something another way that wasn't just showing up behind the mic, then yes, that could the relationship could still be reciprocal. But if you feel resentful when you're doing it, any even inkling, it's these subtleties in life. Any inkling. Don't don't let yourself get to where you're 3, I was like 2.5 months last time that I was getting to my trying to get to my 365-day mark, and I was just so resentful that I was even still doing this. This is like 2 years ago. Don't let yourself as soon as you hear that subtlety, as soon as you hear that voice of like, this person only shows up when they want something. This person always wants me to give. That's when you know that you're not in a healthy relationship dynamic. And it's time to renegotiate or set boundaries if you don't feel safe negotiating. So I hope this was helpful for you. I really did enjoy recording this episode. I just feel it creeping on. I don't fully feel it in all of my body right now, no, but I feel it coming in. And I knew the reflections that I got this week was like, okay, it's definitely coming in. I'm starting to see it in my physical reality. It's time. I have to let go. I have to let go and trust. Because I'm going to be honest, guys, I was really hoping that maybe my brother would end up hopping on here and we would like do this together in some form of collaboration. He has a lot of beautiful, wonderful projects that he's doing in the world. So I thought that would be really cool and that maybe I was just the one starting it. But I got to trust that that's not the road for this right now. And that's what I'm being called to do in this present moment is perfect and whole and complete. And that I hope that you guys got so much out of this series. I love you all so much. Thank you for showing up with me every single week. And I just feel my heart blossoming. And I'm so, yeah, proud of myself for taking care of myself in this moment instead of like pushing it and being like, we can probably just get a few more episodes in. This isn't a proper close or this, or that, telling myself all these stories, just getting behind the mic here and sharing my truth and doing the best I can to share what I know, what I feel, what I experience about overgiving and letting that be the perfect closing that it was meant to be. So I am going to miss you guys. The grief is starting to set on. I love you all. Thank you so much for showing up for this series. And, I do have just a few more mentorship um, spaces left open if you're interested in working one-on-one and really diving deep with your sovereignty and your codependency and clearing out all of those old addicted ways of being. And I also have the intuition development course coming up, which is a deep dive journey on your channel and your self-trust and your ability to trust your higher power and trust life and trust the plan, which is so incredibly important, especially in this day and age. So, yeah. Let me see if anything else wants to come through. You're magical. You are a miracle. You are always lovable and divine, and your truth is not only your own medicine, but it's your own protection. When you are standing and anchored in your truth, your truest truth, it's like an energy field that bullshit just bounces off of, and only truth can enter. So I hope if you've learned anything from this series, it's that. If you want a palpable, potent, just life force energy, cycling and circling and just really palpable, it comes from you. It comes from your connection to yourself and your ability to walk and be truly that which you know is true, to be your living experience of truth. All right, I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know when I'll see you in the future, but we shall see. Cheers to diving into the unknown. So much love. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.